Play it loudly.
I grew up in Muscle Shoals, which is a music town, and it's definitely a mecca for soul music, and it was in the 70s. I sort of grew up in a different world from that, and I didn't hardly know the soul history existed. I grew up in the underground, sort of bluegrass folk world. It's definitely a small town, but it's a really supportive town for young musicians, and I'm so happy to have been raised there. It's really what put me where I am today. And it's amazing because I can think of how different it is playing a city like LA, where everything's so fast-paced, and you know, I grew up. I mean, there's a few stoplights in my hometown, but LA and New York is completely different, and LA is where I actually got to make my record. I made it in Muscle Shoals and LA, so it's just sort of a tale of two cities.
Play it loud, play it loudly. A sides, around, around, around we go. A sides.
I have really early memories of loving music. I think back to both my parents worked at a university in my hometown, and I would go watch the marching band play at football games, and I would go sit with the band when they were in the stands, and I would sit in some of the drum line knew my mom, so I would like sit there laughing. I got to play their drums, and I thought that was amazing. And then it led to years later, I wasn't necessarily getting a lot of feminine attention. I wasn't the subject of many glances, so I thought maybe learning guitar would be a way to get feminine attention. It ended up being something completely life-changing and almost the opposite, because I started learning bluegrass music, which isn't really what you learn to get girls. But I fell in love with the repertoire of bluegrass music, and I fell in love with the playing and the instrumentation and the musicality that comes along with it.
Loudly, A sides, around, around, around we go. A sides, press play on life and hear.
There's this community of people who program music on retro gaming consoles. They use a Commodore 64, I've seen Sega Genesis, Nintendo Game Boy, and it's something that you wouldn't know existed if you didn't seek it out, but there's really this really supportive community behind it. I discovered it, and I thought it would be a great way to beef up acoustic performances, because FireKid isn't just an acoustic driven project. It has electronic elements, and that's what makes it what it is. So I thought I could start incorporating this chip music, is what it's called, into what I do, and I thought it might be a more accurate representation of what we are. It has acoustic qualities, but it's electronic as well.
I wanted to surround me. Play it loud, play it loud.
I grew up in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which is in the corner of Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee. So you're a quick drive from Jackson, you're a quick drive from Memphis, from Nashville, from Birmingham. And I was able to get musical influences from Delta blues, from country, even like hip hop influences from Atlanta. So I feel like my music now is just a mixture of all these genres that I grew up around, and all the music I was absorbing and not even realizing it. Moving to Nashville really threw that into hyperdrive, because when I was in the Shoals, we don't have an airport, there's no interstate there, and I was able to get around more and really be in the hub of all of the southern music scene, which feels like it's in Nashville these days.
A sides.